What's up, everybody? This is Baron over at RWD Gaming. Tonight we are going to be playing the version 5 playtest of Harbinger, which is a product of the group Absolute Tabletop, and this is supposed to be a spooky sci-fi, Lovecraftian, in space kind of gig. So we're going to put a Ray Bradbury spin on it, and hopefully it goes for the best. This is the Varren Chronicles. I'm going to hand it over to my players to introduce themselves and any of the channels they want to plug and what their characters look like and what they are. And then we'll get right into it. So starting with John.
I am playing Weston. He is a voidborn mechanist, and he's a fixer. Basically, you break it, I can fix it. Man, machine, doesn't matter.
Perfect. Jose.
Hey everybody, my name's Jose. I got the YouTube channel D20Say, and today I'm playing Jeffrey Johnson, who is a mancer. He's a noble who pretty much got kicked out of his house because they say pretty much all he cared about was Astra and like getting stronger, and they say he was like too volatile, so he pretty much got kicked out of there, and he can't come back until he proves himself.
And prove himself he very well might. Paul?
Hi everyone, I'm Paul. I'm playing Perry Armiger. He is a Forgeborn Aphelion Mancer, which is the new Mancer subclass. It's basically similar to the Hexblade from D&D for the Warlock, and he is of a Raider background.
Excellent. And finally, Edward.
Hello, I'm DM Bluddworth. I have a YouTube channel, Unscripted and Unchained, and a Facebook community, On Screen Gaming. And I'll be playing a Forgeborn Scavenger, specifically a Mechanist. A Slipdagger is his specialization, and his name is Lens Junker.
Excellent. And for those of you tuning in later, I will have the links to all these YouTube channels mentioned previously in the section below. Now, without further ado, I personally really enjoyed the Martian Chronicles, so much so that I felt that it deserved a playthrough in D&D. So with heavy inspiration from that, the moon of Varr is on a much different gravitational pull than most of the moons in the known orbits. It travels far beyond the reaches of Bastion into the darkness of space, where it stays for sometimes upwards of 200 years until it makes its appearance again in the spaces reachable by the void ships known to the peoples in Bastion's orbit. The last time that this planet, or moon rather, had made an appearance, the Sept Alzereen had sent a commissioned exploration pod to the reaches of this planet to kind of get a feel for what was going on there, see what resources were available, what profits could be made off this this rare spectacle here in the known orbits. This exploration pod, to the knowledge of Sept Alzereen, landed, but what happened after that is kind of a mystery. And despite that danger looming ominously on the silence that the crew sent back, the riches and spoils are still yet to be retrieved, and that is where you come in. While journeying through the reaches of space in the known orbits, you had received a odd beacon, a very old style, coming from the inky black that you perceived before you. And after training your eye on a certain part of the inky blackness for a long enough time, you realize that a red moon sticks out among the stars. And the stories of the moon Varr come rushing back to you. Now, the four of you have been on this ship together for some time now, so you're all fully aware of each other, and seeing something that is practically of myth, how would your characters respond to this radar blip that is only been talked about in stories?
My lens would be lens would express great optimism. He looks at things like this as a a big opportunity to being a scavenger, so a big opportunity to find unique things to to bring back and to sell for vast profit.
As soon as Wes saw it on the screen, on the sensors, all he says is, "That's something you don't see every day." Big hurtling rock coming towards the inner system. Definitely not something you see every day.
Yeah, Jeffrey now being really good with like technology and seeing the bip in the screen, he would probably take off his visor and just start looking out like the ship's window, see if he can see this object.
Perry, he's being a Forgeborn. He's been around for quite a while, actually. And he actually remembers, though not too clearly, when this moon was last in orbit. And he's been searching for something. And he thinks that this might actually be where it... he was looking for an item of his. He doesn't remember even what it is, but he knows that he's been trying to search for it. He knows that he'll recognize it when he sees it. And he has a feeling that it's on that moon. So, and nothing's going to stop him from finding it, because that's the core of his being. He needs to find what he lost.
That's actually fantastic. I picture like a deep resonance there with Perry as he sees this star that he probably has viewed it in a similar sense back the last time it was around, a red light among the yellow stars. And Perry might even recall that the last time that this came around, the stir about this rare moon was crazy. There were people fighting for the chance to get to this moon despite the danger, but there was very few pods and void ships sent out to explore this at all. In fact, as far as you know, the only one is the apparent radar blip that you've gotten from this hurtling moon towards the known orbits. Like I said, the beacon itself seems archaic, but a mechanist of some skill could probably ungarble it.
Okay, let's see. I should be pretty good at doing this. I have a fairly high intelligence, so I'm probably used to, used to computers and such. So I'll give it a shot. So what do I need to check out?
I would like you to give me a tech roll, which I believe is an intelligence-based D20.
Yeah. Tech. I have a +5 in tech.
Perfect.
I rolled a 24 total.
Excellent. So I'm going to need two things from you, Lens. I would like you to kind of describe your station here, what your part of the ship looks like, what your kind of your go-to method here for uncoding messages that you receive from the voids of space. And I guess actually that's That's the two things.
All right. So, well, I'm assuming that my console then has a both scanner features and communications. So and and they're somewhat integrated in that when I scan something, it can give me a audio analysis of what is actually being scanned. And so it takes my it takes less attention to actually do that, and that way I can set up the next cycle of scans if in case that one doesn't pick. So I'm guessing there are variations of types of scans that you can do, infrared and so on.
Absolutely.
So,
And at first, the audio kicks in the initial message. It's very staticky. You hear the occasional totally unintelligible.
So I'll try to apply some filters to it, to clean it up. So I'll try to mitigate any background interference, in it. I'll also record as it's going in case it is a live broadcast, and I don't want to lose it, so I'll record it as well. So in case we have to clean it up later, we can.
Absolutely, covering all the bases here. This is something I believe you're probably 100% comfortable with. Honestly, it's probably minorly exciting getting the chance to kind of decode one of these older messages. And as you clean it up, you hear landed on Varr, uncontacted by the locals, moving out. And it goes silent. And this doesn't so much seem as a distress beacon as much as it is like the initial landing as someone made their touchdown on Varr, which would be impossible.
All right, can I do like an analysis of the way that the communication was cut off? Was it a normal transition, or at least can I analyze that it was a normal transition from active to shutting out? Did the person say anything like over, or expecting a response back, or
he would have concluded properly. As far as you can tell, this is a standard message.
Okay.
There didn't seem to be any hostility or anxiousness in the voice.
Okay.
Something that would strike you as odd, given the circumstances of the planet.
Okay, and it's a recorded message, so, or is it an active message? It's recorded, correct?
Yes. Actually, it's a little of both, in my opinion. It seems to be that maybe this is on like a feed loop.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah. So it's a feed loop. Any way to determine how old the message might be based on,
If you were to actually give me another tech roll.
That was only a 9 total.
Just from the appearance alone of the coding of the message, you can tell that it's easily 150 plus years old.
Okay.
This style of coding doesn't usually come out of void chips anymore due to increased scrug activity and whatnot. The level of security has gone up. This seems to be just a very broad message, really.
Okay, in case anybody else wasn't fully paying attention, or I have to translate or transfer the information to others, I'll let the others know in the area that I've filtered through, and I'll play it on loudspeaker for all to hear if that wasn't already done.
Perry is actually standing over your shoulder, watching what you're doing and listening intently. So we're going, right? Of course we are. Why wouldn't we be going? So I got to get there. I don't know why. That's where we should go. Do you have any objections? No. Good. All right. I'll go set a course.
Do you guys have a name for the spectre that pilots, not necessarily pilots, that mans the AI of your ship?
Ava.
All right, we're rolling with Ava.
And it's even weirder than that. I don't know if the crew realizes or not, but the spectre is actually made from his wife who was dying.
Got real personal. Perfect. Okay, so as you kind of steer your ship, relaying the position of the planet to Ava, of course, as is tradition here in space, there is a small field of asteroids in between here and there. And our pilot, as daring as he may be, is going to need to take the helm to navigate. So who might that be?
I'm the pilot.
Can I be the co-pilot?
I would see no objection to that.
Yeah, I see Jeffrey run into a seat and like putting his seatbelt on and putting his helmet back on, and he's just like, shit.
What? You don't trust our piloting skills?
I just don't trust space.
Well, you're in the wrong line of work.
Oh, we'll see that when we get to the planet. And he would like summon like a little extra ball and start like juggling real quick, like playing with it.
So as the ship that you have been a member of the crew of for many years shifts its way through space in the direction of the red planet hurtling through space, Eva changes the trajectory of your void ship, and you start cruising towards the destination. You aren't in calm seas for too long, as the speed at which you're traveling brings the asteroid field upon you rather quickly. So, Wes, go ahead and describe your station and what kind of techniques you're doing with the aid of Piri to navigate through this asteroid field. And I'm going to need an astrogation check, which I believe is also intelligence, but whichever you'd like to do first.
Okay. That's going to be a 16 on an astrogation check. And my console actually looks probably pretty outlandish because most of the technology, or the actual physical technology of it, is way out of date.
So it's almost fitting with the archaic message you received earlier today. Perfect for picking up on old signals. It's old technology. And you said you got a 16?
Yeah.
So these asteroids are like every other asteroid you've ever seen in your entire life. You've navigated successfully through worse asteroid fields. The massive stones hurtle by you practically at light speed, and you don't see or have any difficulties navigating through it. Before you lies the mysterious and unfathomable riches of the moon Varr. And as you approach, it only gets redder. The star, not the azure star, the other one, nonetheless, the red star shines brightly this direction, as it's kind of like immediately behind the moon as you're flying towards it. And as it gradually gets bigger, you start to notice the sea basins and the rolling plains and the fertile grounds and the mountain ranges and the various cloud formations that dot the sky above these landmarks as you begin to descend onto the moon, fabled by myth. Is anybody doing anything in particular that they would like to point out now, or we're going to get right into the world building of this moon? So as you descend through the clouds, you notice firstly that the clouds themselves are silver, if anything, maybe even a hint of purple. Not the usual clouds that you see in the northern orbits. I mean, I'm sure they're all different in their own way. But as you break the cloud surface, you see rolling plains of indigo grass, fields of it, bordered by massive jungles of golden palms, inladen with red ferns and various other jungle underbrush. You see flocks of flying lizards parallel to your void ship as it descends, and right as you get hit a certain elevation, the sun crests on the mountain ridge to the far east, and it shines a dazzling pink off the granite mountains that line the landscape. Wes, you're flying the ship. Who is navigating? I would imagine that's your gig, Paul. So Apiri, can I get a astrogation check?
Maybe I'm not the best. Maybe I should have trained that. Oh well. 6.
So you scan the horizon both with technology and your eyes for any kind of sign of humanoid life, something that has carved or forged or crafted something out of the landscape, and you see nothing. This planet seems untapped and uncultivated by any sort of society. Everyone give me a perception check.
Okay. Rolled a 14 plus perception is plus 2. 16.
So you all are pretty much kind of awestruck as you gaze out from the wind. Nah, it's not a windshield in space. The forepane of glass that covers your void ship from the bridge. And it's a dazzling sight, if anything. Very rarely do you see moons this lush and fertile without some sort of gain being taken from it. And it is Lens, appropriate to his name, that spots something odd in the hills at the southern end of the mountain ridge you are flying towards. The stones are too perfect. The mountains themselves carved to look like mountains. And this strikes you as odd. This is almost picturesque, fabricated even. And as you fly closer, and I even imagine that you may even direct the ship that way, since there is no real destination here towards the radar blip that has been made yet anyway. You fly upon what appears to be the most perfect civilization structure you've ever seen. It is a city carved from the stone itself, pink granite buildings with beautiful stained glass windows of vibrant indigos and blues and azures and various other just very poppy colors that reflect the sun and draw your attention to this magnificent, symmetrical, perfect structure that you would identify as a small community city.
Any on a scan, any signs of life?
Let me get a tech check from you on that one.
All right. That's a plus 5, so that's a 23.
You give the standard and backup scans that you would do in any routine scan. Baron, no life, empty.
Okay. I'll do another scan for, I want to do a scan for movement.
I'm going to say you don't need to check for that one. That kind of, I'm going to say that kind of lies in with those secondary scans. And like the initial scans are very like thermo scans, infrared. This is, like you said, a movement, maybe some like black and white feedback scans. There's a breeze going through the city.
All right.
The ferns and weeds that have very, very slowly grown through the solid brick paveways of the streets and roads of this community. But other than that, this place is dead still.
And the atmosphere is, we'll have to spacesuit it or no?
As far as you can tell, there's oxygen here. This seems to have a climate capable of supporting liquid water.
Okay.
This has a breathable atmosphere, if anything.
All right, I'll relay that information to everyone else that, you know, it looks like a breathable atmosphere. It looks like there's no life forms on scan. It looks like an abandoned civilization.
How does everyone feel about that?
So why were we here to begin with?
You had received
Discovery.
you had received a beacon from a precursor ship that had come to this moon a long time ago. That being the mission, there's supposed to be an untold amount of resources and untapped potential for money making here because no one's been here. The ground's fertile, food could be grown here, the ore could be plentiful. There's obviously granite and other minerals. The world is yours for the taking.
Just that pesky 200-year orbit. But hey,
That'll get you. That'll get you.
that's if you wanted to be trading with the other Septs and other moons and stuff.
True. Money.
Yeah, but if you have everything here, you may not need the money. But hey, do I remember how long the planet was within range of the other moons?
For about 15 cycles of Bastion around the stars, 15 years.
Okay, so we have 15 years. Okay, that's what you're saying. Before it's gone too far. All right. All right, so you guys ready? Suit up. I'm going out. You guys are with me, of course. And I walk away before anyone has a chance to say anything.
Yeah, Jeffrey would get up and he would probably shake his head and put his helmet, like visor down, and just follow him. Make sure he stays out of trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I'll pick, get my traveling gear ready and do a quick weapons check and be all set to depart as well.
Yes.
I guess I slide out of the seat, take out the clip in my pistol, make sure it's full, lock it back in, put it in the holster, make sure that my VR glasses are in place, and sort of just saunter out.
You are met with a soothing breeze on your face, one unmet by the contaminations of creation by man and the constructs he creates. A breath of fresh air, easily described. You look around you, and as said before, the buildings are made of pink granite, carved perfectly. asymmetric or symmetrical. The entire civilization structure you're in right now is within a 100% perfect circle, with buildings lining up, forming straight roads. No building farther out, closer to the road than any other. This kind of perfection doesn't happen in your world. Things aren't this perfect or symmetrical. It would probably bother you, if anything. Nothing has ever been this perfect in your entire life. And with that being said, I need everyone to make perception checks.
I rolled a 12 total. Oh, I should type it in there.
As opposed to what you'd think, Paul, you actually see it. Piri, as you're looking down the lines of these alleys, a shadow escapes past a building quicker than you can see it. But there's something stirring within you that knows that there was something there. When you have that feeling someone's watching you, or there's someone around you that's not supposed to be there, the hair stands up on the back of your neck, which, as a forage bard, I'm not sure happens too often.
Actually, I think that they're hairless, but sure.
If they're hairless, then
I can't remember.
you just got goosebumps. That's about the closest I can imagine without hair. A slight chill runs down your spine. The thing that's been bugging you can only be that way.
Guys, this way. I think let's go this way here. Actually, what I would have probably left first. Is anyone going ahead of me? Because I guess, or anyone contradicting? I just start walking down the alleyway.
That's very accurate. Is anyone like making any initial moves into the city before Piri's distracted?
As we start to move away, I have Ava take up the ramp and go into storage lockdown mode.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would kind of like stay like kind of on the flank of the group and somewhat behind, since I do have the longest range. So, and I would just scan ahead. So if anybody is moving forward, I'll try to keep an eye on what's out there further ahead of him. I mean, how long is our visibility? Like, what can we actually see? How far can we see?
As far as comparison wise, it's 3:30 on a clear day.
All right, so I can scope it and use my scope.
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
Take a look.
Besides, like the shadows cascading off the buildings, you have perfect visibility.
Yeah.
The weather's perfect.
And have we all seen this shadow move, or just?
Nope. And saying that he's seen a shadow move is kind of an overstep. This is feeling. This is a gut instinct that's hitting him right now.
Not that I said anything.
Yeah.
I just started walking this way.
All right.
Yeah,
All right, well, I'll just follow along.
Jeffrey would be like right next to Piri, just because he's been stuck in this ship for a while and he just has an itch that only action can take care of.
So the group veers. I picture this civilization as a perfect circle with main intersecting roads, going north, south, east, and west. You guys, I picture probably landed maybe just shy of the middle. Do you have any objections or specifications on where you'd like to land? I guess I'm taking a little bit of liberty here.
Whatever looks the safest.
The center of the city is kind of like a big open like fountain square. So that'd probably be the easiest place to land. And given their scans of no life forms, it's probably the safest as well.
Well, Wes, you were landing. I didn't say anything, and so where do you want to land? The square?
I thought we had already touched down.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're just deciding where we landed.
This is more of just a
I
combination of
say
location.
we were probably on the outskirts, far enough back that we can put down in a place that we can.
That works too. So you guys have kind of been visualizing the city from the perspective of, let's say, the west side. So you would have seen the shadow moving towards the center of town, Peary. Probably a good 3/4 of the way to the center of town.
Okay, I start heading that way, and first thing I will do is so it's daylight, so I'm gonna. No, I don't need to cast a spell. I do summon my weapon, and I'm gonna summon the. There's two forms of it. I'm gonna summon an astraglaive. So out of my hand pulls this long shafted weapon with a wicked looking blade, all made out of red astra, and sort of using just one hand or just walking with it, almost like a staff right now. And I'll head in the direction I think I saw something.
With party in tow, you make your way towards the center of the city. And as you start to pass by some of the buildings more towards the circumference or the outside or whatever, that's when you start to notice more of the ornate stained glass. They are depicting stories and events, as far as you can tell. There's like a series along one building or a large mural among the next, and they all depict these humanoid figures. They're always dressed in like flowing blue, like the deep blue, cerulean blue glass. Their robes, flowing robes, depicted sharply by the pointed glass. And the skin of these beings is tan, very similar to the Forge-born tan. Very exotic, if anything, if you've been in the void of space for too long. And finally, what gives them the most alien-esque quality is their eyes, saucers of gold, perfectly rounded glass circles that form the eyes that almost pierce into you. And they show stories of what you can make. I mean, if anyone wants to make out what they are, I'll let you get a roll for it, but it's hard to tell at the moment. But other than that, the buildings are quiet, the alleys are quiet, the roads are quiet as you move towards the center.
I would definitely check more into what's going on with the glass, and you'll hear Wes mutter, even on worlds that haven't seen light in generations, there are still nobles around. We just can't get rid of them.
Let me get an investigation check.
That'll be a 17.
So as you kind of gaze at these murals, you see there's a few that have like a deep like green, showing like the growth of these golden palms springing forth into massive forests. You see the same deep blues that adorn these people growing from the ground in huge fields, and you can easily look behind you and see one of these huge fields of, long indigo grass. You see pictures of them sailing on water, the color of shimmering gold, through through large canals, and their ships appear fish-like but alien at the same time, angular but efficient, and these same boats sail across the sands and the plains of these oceans of grass as easily as they do through water.
I'm going to do a surveillance of the murals or the stained glass.
I'm sorry, what were you asking?
I'm basically going to use my arc tool, which is sort of the Swiss Army knife of technos, of the mechanist, to take pictures basically of each one, kind of keeping a record.
Cataloging, if anything. For sure. And as you do this, you kind of are starting to get a hint on towards what some of these buildings do. You can kind of pick out like the local government building, a school you can find, but you're being led by Peary to a building that you haven't been able to decipher yet. And as you all approach this building, Peary, give me some sort of check. Actually, John, not John.
Oh.
Sorry.
Wes.
Jeffrey.
Oh,
Jeffrey, I need you to make an Astra check.
At a 19.
It seems like this entire civilization is kind of, in the same way an auditorium boosts and amplifies sound, you feel a deep surge of Astra here in your core. This building has something to do with Astra. Whatever peoples or people that live or lived here, they are familiar with Astra in the same way that you are.
I think noticing this, he would probably just look at Peary and like raise his like sleeve, and all you can see is his veins start glowing, and he's like, "Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like Astra in here. Like whatever they were doing, it definitely focused on that. This building in particular."
Can I sense any of the Astra as well?
I would say so that after Jeffrey had said something, you're like, oh yeah, there's definitely something there. This building seems odd. This building seems important. It's not the center of attention, but it's definitely had some proper care to it in its day. I'm gonna let you guys do a little bit of world building here in this kind of cultural religious hub. What are some things you think you'd find in like the courtyard or adorning the walls or murals even? Go ahead and feel free to drop some interesting tidbits. And I'll jump at once. And this can be anything. This can be sculptures. This can be art. This can be the pavement, even small things.
I think that if this is an Astra hub research and things like that, there is actually one for each Astra type of sort of a sculpture-like tube where it's just constantly moving. Not that it can be tapped, just kind of there. And we aren't even sure what's quite holding it.
Can I go as far as to say that these things weren't moving until you guys showed up?
You're the DM.
Well, I like to live and play with everyone, so we'll go with it. As Jeffrey's kind of bringing this place to everyone's attention, you do start to see these 4 sculptures start to enact and take place. An aura of red surrounding one, creating sharp and rigid objects. One of blue, creating amorphous and smooth objects. One of yellow, sporadic, and chaotic, I guess is a good way to put it. And then finally, one of green, creating solid and firm structures. Does anyone else have anything they think they'd see here?
Actually, that was similar to what I was going to say, so I'm not.
Yeah. Is there any? Are there any kind of we're in like a courtyard area, correct?
Yes.
So, and this is all contained within so it's a courtyard within a building structure.
For the most part, there's like
Yeah.
a small wall that kind of separates the courtyard from the roadway. But this wall is kind of ornate, if anything. There's openings and windows and holes in it. But yeah, it's definitely within a courtyard itself.
Right. Does it look like there's any entrances into any, formal structures? Like, are there any control panels on the outside? Or is there any signs of technology that we can recognize?
That is probably something your character would find is odd.
Mhm.
There is not. This seems to be as if the courtyard itself is an artwork. There are no grooves for a control panel. There are no, message prompt screens. This is a work of art.
And it's animated. There's at least portions of it that are animated.
And I don't know how odd of a thing that would be in the known orbits, but this is, I would compare it to like Mercury, the liquid state of solid matter kind of gig. It's these structures that are morphing around you, as pointed out by Wes rather. These seem to be made out of the same pink granite as the buildings, moving as fluidly as water.
Can I see if they are powered by Astra?
Absolutely. Astra check.
I doubt that's going to do anything. 9.
This isn't a very difficult check for you to make. Just the resonant aura around them gives you off the feeling that these are Astra. It's not necessarily... There's a primitive aspect to it that, having been trained in the arts of manipulating Astra, this seems like how maybe someone first learned to do it, like a reflex or a flex of a muscle that kind of like, oh, I can do this. How do I train this? This is before you've trained it. It's very primitive, instinctual.
I see that's a lot how actually I cast Astra. It's, even though I have an understanding of it, not that rule said anything, but I have a basic understanding of it myself, and I just more how I channel. That's how I channel the raw Astra into a weapon. I channel it into the spells, just more instinctual, I guess, which may or may not be different than what Jeffrey does, I guess. I see Jeffrey. I don't know if Jeffrey was trained. Was he?
He was.
You would actually feel a similarity in the red Astra structure to the weapon you wield in your hand. The energies are very similar. A natural force of emotion manifest.
I reach out and touch. I'm actually, even though I use the weapons, I'm actually a green specialist. So I will touch the green Astra construct.
You are greeted by an embrace, a firm but comforting embrace, something you have come to acknowledge as an extension of yourself. This structure imbibes you with the ability to, mechanically anyway, you essentially have the ability to cast one Green Astra spell without cost, regardless of level.
Is it, when I step away, I can still do that?
Yes. One-time thing. You're kind of like imbued with an energy of wholeness and rigidity that you have come to find as Green Astra tends to be.
Ooh, I want to step to the yellow one.
Basically, what happens, I have a...
Yeah,
it's weird. I have a third eye in the middle of my forehead that's usually closed. But when I channel Astra, it opens. And when I stepped into this and touched this green Astra construct, and I became enveloped with the green Astra, it opened wide and is glowing bright green.
Excellent. And Jeffrey, noticing this, takes a step over to the yellow Astra stone. The material within the structure is a lot harder to grab than the firm structure that is within the green stone. And after some kind of like hopeless grabs, you manage to grab hold of one of them. And I'm sure as familiar yet foreign the green Astra was when touched by Perry, Jeffrey, you feel a comfort, a sense of wholeness, but a sense of everything. You are very in tune with what's going around you, and that I feel like that's maybe even what drew you to this touching the stone in the first place without knowing the exact effects to Piri. So you too as well mechanically have a free yellow Astra spell, regardless of level.
Quick question, does that include free boosts or just the base spell?
Just the base.
So Jeffrey has an idea, but he would tell everybody to like back up and get cover real quick.
And what do you think you're doing?
As he says that, he's gonna pretty much take like an Astra bolt in his hand, and he's gonna toss it at the red thing, see what happens.
Oh, well, I was stepping towards it. I go, what? And he throws it in. An Astra bolt.
Give me an attack roll. Just damage. You hit it.
Attack roll was 17 total.
For damage?
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, just damage. You already hit it. It's
the damage was 4.
The Astra bolt soars through the air and makes purchase on the sharp and jagged structure that is the red Astra stone, and it explodes. And
I'm standing probably 5 feet away, I'm guessing, because I started moving up closer.
I'm actually going to have the lot of you make a dexterity save. My first roll tonight. Let's go. So we got a 23, 9, 7, and 15. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Alrighty. Piri and Wes, you managed to tuck and roll quick enough to avoid the brunt of this explosion. But Lenz and Jeffrey, you take 14 damage.
Okay.
And
we
the
take
rest
half?
of you take half, yes.
Well, that wasn't very smart.
I never said it was.
What the hell were you thinking?
I wasn't really thinking. I just wanted to see what was going to happen.
I was walking up. I was actually reaching out with my Astra glaive, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he shoots the Astra bolt in. I duck out of the way behind that I miss most of it. Is the structure still okay? I'm not going to say intact. Was it still working? I guess.
You watch it for a moment or two, and you see like a noticeable damage to this structure, and over time it, like sand pouring in an hourglass, starts to fill in itself with the remaining bit and carry on with its amorphous change through sharp and pointy figures. You feel a significant drain to this aura that is kind of making this go on.
I actually stick my energy blade into it, not trying to do damage. I just stick it into the field, I guess.
And as you do so, you feel a draw from your weapon as it pulls from your very essence itself. Nothing critical, but more just a feeling you feel. And as you do, you see the structure return to its normal pace and put back into its normal circadian rhythm. And it seems to be functioning as it was before.
That's strange. You destroy, and I return, and I reconstruct. Usually the other way around.
The entire time this was going on, I'm observing it, recording it, and trying to understand what's going on, because my research is primarily on Astra and Astra constructs. I'm actually even proficient in it.
So, through your learnings and your observations, you haven't seen very many structures like this whatsoever. This is like a naturally occurring, like in the same sense of like a fresh mountain spring. This is what you'd compare it to. This is a sprout of Astra from the planet itself, a conduit being brought forth from the energies that bring life to this planet.
When I start to understand what it's doing, I go over to the blue and touch it.
And
my void power is blue.
So, and you're a mechanist, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Though you are energized and you feel replenished by this statue, it does not grant the bonus that the Mancers feel. But you definitely feel a sense of well-being, and though you've never been here before, staying here doesn't sound so bad.
All right, I think we've spent enough time here. Are you guys, Wes? Are you done bathing in the light?
Fury, as you say this, your eyes have been gazing on the door of a large granite building to the north of you on the other side of the courtyard. The shadow that seemed to have escaped into this area, there's only one way to go. He has to be in there.
All right, but before we actually move out, I mean, two of us at least took, quite a good deal of damage. So are we gonna? I mean, I could use my spheroid to heal.
It's okay. I was actually planning on healing him and healing myself since we took a lot of damage.
All
I
right.
can do that real quick.
Edward,
Yes.
you took the healing one?
Yeah, it took rehabilitation.
No, Edward.
Oh no, I thought healing was the basic.
No, you have two total spheroids. One of them could be the healing, but I think you took the.
Oh, I took the other two. All right.
Yeah, you took two different ones, I think.
All right. So yeah, I did take two different ones. So
I think the other two can heal the other two characters. I think, or there's no point in taking a fixer if you don't want to heal, I guess.
Realistically, it doesn't seem like there's anything pressing you for danger outside of Jeffrey.
It's like, okay.
So taking a short rest, completely within reason.
All right.
All right, fine. You guys, well, actually, you guys have to convince, I think, Perry, if you guys want to stay for a short rest. He's ready to move on.
Well, within reason, once I brush myself off from the explosion and, take care of any, care of any pressing wounds, we'll certainly go forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my my scout spheroid. And before we actually enter into the building, I'm going to send the scout spheroid ahead of us.
Of course. And as you do, you see what it sees up until it enters the door. And this room opens up into a large central room with what appears to be ornate carvings on the walls and a large central circle that could easily fit upwards of 6 to 8 people in the middle. But other than that, the room is fairly empty outside of the markings on the walls.
And the spherical, space, I will send the scout up into that to take a closer look at that as well.
What kind of astra does your spheroid use? Just any of them. I think any of them apply. What would you have it be?
Well, the spheroids that I have, I took scout.
That's fine. I'm really just referring to as your character personality. What kind of color would be your go-to for your spheroids to manifest in?
Oh, let me take a look at that. That's something I didn't consider. So
just a brief go over. Red is more of your aggression. Blue is healing. Green is shields, and yellow is manipulation.
I would probably go with yellow.
Okay, so as your scout droid enters this circular field, there is a resonance of yellow astra on the ground, and very slowly you see sculptures starting to become three-dimensional off the walls. Though, if you had to take a guess, I bet it'd be pretty cool if a person with astra themselves stood in that circle.
All right. I'll recommend that.
But through your scout sensors, there isn't a fly that can harm you in this building.
Okay. All right, so maybe I'll step into it then.
And as you do, the yellow astra that almost is as akin to you as your own blood resonates with this central circle here in the center of the room, and your party joins you in this circle. And as you do, this not necessarily scribbles, the overlapping three-dimensional figures that are embedded in the wall start to manifest in the same way that this liquid granite has all over the city, forming massive, what appear to be the equivalent of like a whale and marine life, marlins, small schools of fish, an octopus even. They manifest in stone shapes that circle around you, powered by the astra that you have imbued into this circle. It seems as if this place, if any, would have been used as a place of worship for the natural forces.
And are we able to record these projections or anomalies or
Absolutely.
asteroid? All right, so we're basically recording and scanning and just documenting everything that we're discovering here.
You guys have stumbled into King Tut's tomb.
Yeah.
Recording hieroglyphs for the first time.
For some reason, once this thing all this starts happening, it actually takes Perry's interest, surprisingly, and he starts examining all of these images that are animating right now.
Perry, you, in whether it's a memory or a dream, have seen these creatures. Not on this planet. In fact, you're not sure on which moon. Maybe you're home. Maybe. But these things have not lived for some time. They were falling out of existence when you were brought into existence.
Now, from what I know, the history, if you're using the history, the Harbinger setting, about 1,000 years ago is when the Old Dominion fell, and the Voidborn, the Forgeborn are from that time.
Correct.
And they woke up sometime, I'm going to say 1,000 years, between 1,000 years and whatever the present is, I guess.
Yes. So at some point between, I don't know exactly how old you are, but I imagine you're fairly old. And these were old when you were young. These things have not been in the known orbits for some time. And the fact that this odd star planet coming in and out as it pleases, having something that even resembles these, touches you right in the nostalgia bone. You are back in your childhood, hearing tales of sailors cruising through stars and Leviathan whales that are larger than asteroid belts. This is the closest you could even hope to imagine of seeing these again.
Perry doesn't remember a lot from his time before he awoke during the Old Dominion. He gets flashes and stuff, and the fact that he was I guess turned back on, or maybe it was a cryogenic freeze. He was reawoken. He doesn't even remember quite a long time ago, and he doesn't remember a lot even from back then, just because when you've been around for hundreds of years, you tend to forget all the old stuff, I guess, and just he probably actively remembers maybe 70, maybe 100 years at the most. Like, that's fresh, I guess, in his mind. But a lot of the stuff coming back, he's actually sparks a curiosity in him. And as I said, he's going to be fascinated with all of them and just watching all of these creatures and everything for now.
I'm going to have us pause for 2 seconds. I got to run out of the room real quick. But feel free to chatter.
I wonder, would any of us know about the what the whales and everything else is, or not really?
Well, with our particular race, the memories of the Dominion, it says here that history and tech checks related to the Old Dominion get double proficiency. So I mean, we should be gathering as much information as we can. My character also has an expertise in double proficiency in tech as well. I'm still trying to figure out where the technology governing all of this is, or is it, is it completely Astra driven?
Oh, John, you do know you have a spell, right?
Right.
I was just. What spell do you have?
I have bolster.
Oh, that's your. Okay, that's your. I didn't know that was one of the options. I can't remember.
Guidance.
Yes. So you have bolster, and Jose, you took what, grav shift?
Yeah.
But yeah, you only have the basic spell. So yeah, Baron, we as classes, everyone can use Astra, and what's interesting is that John's character actually has a spell, bolster. It's like the cantrip version, just the basic version, and he has spheroids as well. So,
How about this? Do you have one spheroid free action in regards to the statue that you touched?
Okay.
I didn't really actually anticipate you guys to play with the statues, so rather than them do nothing,
I think we all took a different one. I guess.
and I didn't want to be like, oh, everyone just touch a statue. But yeah, you can have a free spheroid. That's perfectly
I
fair.
wasn't even going for the free spheroid. I just wasn't sure if you realized everyone uses Astra.
Yeah, no, I kind of, I thought about it afterward, and I'm glad you brought it up. Have a free spheroid. So, as you guys are all rather in awe of this Museum of Astra, the sculptures return to their original spots, and the three-dimensional figures become two-dimensional again. And you are left in an empty room, a circle surrounded by carvings in the walls.
Was there any, using our Dominion knowledge, all right, was there any kind of a sequence or story being told by these images when they were animated?
This one, less so than most of the murals that you've seen on the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
This was like an organic, living, breathing exhibit. This is about as close as you can get to a zoo.
Right, yeah.
There wasn't so much a story being played as there was being something showed to you.
Just letting you know, the Forgeborn have an ability. If it's related to the Old Dominion, which I don't know if it is, we get expertise in history and text checks.
Okay, yeah. And to an extent, this is Old Dominion related. This is about as Old Dominion as you've ever seen in recent history. And even this is Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is a certain stirring, I would say, that reminds you of Old Dominion tech and how things would have worked. Whereas to the Voidborn here, you probably would have found this more of like, a crazy spectacle as compared to the Forgeborn, where this, not necessarily a common occurrence, wouldn't have been unheard of. The ability to forge stone as if it was liquid matter.
I mean, I'll say to everybody, I'm really curious. I think we need to get to the bottom of what happened here. Why are there, why is it completely abandoned? Did they leave? Were they wiped out? Was there, we should really try to figure out, what happened, and let's continue looking around for some kind of a terminal, a database, or something, so we can, or more murals if we're able to decipher some kind of a story being told.
Wes, you have communication with the onboard system of Ava from some sort of device on your person. That's up to you. if you want to describe that now, you can go ahead.
It's kind of linked in with my arc tool. And she kind of goes two ways.
Add her on the next tell chirp. So Ava responds to you. Secondary incoming signal. Very similar to the one you received while you were in space.
Okay.
And once she starts to relay the signal, I send it through the whisper links.
And this one, though a slightly staticky beginning, seems to be coming through clear.
Okay.
Hostiles engaged. Imminent threat. And it goes silent. There is no end to this one, whereas before it was a clear message. This trails on for maybe 5, 7, 10 seconds before cutting off.
Would Ava be able to determine the where in this structure that we're in that transmission originated from?
Can I get a tech check from
Yes.
you, Lens? I love abusing tech checks in this game. Everything.
Right.
Tech,
Wow.
tech.
10 total.
Despite your there
Terrible
seems to be
roll.
a slight interference
Yeah.
from the granite buildings around you. Maybe echoing the signal.
All right.
It is.
I
It is.
with
Go
a
ahead.
I try.
Yeah, absolutely.
I rolled rather low, but I am double proficient in it, so that puts me at a 17.
17 is not pretty low, but
Yeah.
that'll do it. Between the two of you, you are able to kind of pick up on the fact that the granite structures around you are echoing this location of the beacon being sent here. It's not from this town. It's maybe a week away, depending if you were walking. Within a void chip, it's probably two hours away.
I would say that we should go to the site of the beacon.
Well,
It makes
can
sense to investigate there.
Well, since we're here, might as well just check out that building over there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
We're here, and then we'll.
yeah,
Then
and then
can
we'll go. Yeah.
I just something about that building. Just something's bugging me about it. I want to take at least a quick look.
Piri, as you turn the corner into the doorway of this building, a single thing sticks out about this empty room. A skeleton wrapped in tattered indigo robes. Easily dead upwards of 75 years plus.
I would like to examine the body.
I'm not going to make you roll for that. It's pretty cut and dry of what's dead and what's not. The bones and the robes disintegrate in your hands. And as you move the arm that's attached to this corpse, if it is one, a tatter of a jacket, unfamiliar to this land, something you'd recognize, the woven material of Sept Alzereen.
Do you guys see that? So Sept Alzereen was the Sept who came to explore this first, 200 years ago. I'll say, Sept Alzereen must have come here back when this was last in the known orbits. Somewhat 200 years ago? Something like that.
I know that there is probably little forensic evidence, but I am proficient with medicine. Can I tell what killed him?
Absolutely. Though, and I say it's a skeleton, there is like some petrified flesh. For this is a fairly dry region, especially where this person is at the least. You see lesions of some sort of chicken poxy, smallpoxy-esque virus. Lesions kind of marring his skin.
Okay, I'm going to carefully take a forensic kit out of my med bag, because I'm assuming I'd have a field medics kit.
I'd say so.
And with the most sterilized conditions I can manage in this place, I'm going to take a sample of the flesh itself.
Let me get a medicine check.
And I am using the bolster.
Okay.
That's going to put me at a 15.
You are able to safely remove and examine the piece of flesh. And this is something you recognize as any medical field practitioner would. The common disease of chickenpox, something harmless to voidborn, forgeborn, and moonborn alike. Everyone gets it. They have parties for it. You have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
But whatever it was, chickenpox or less, it fucked this guy up. Whereas ours are small, manageable lesions, his were massive hemorrhages.
Okay, I'm still going to take the sample with us, just in
Okay. And you are 100% within your means to safely, secure baggage and tag this the sample.
Do you have anything that's airtight? A little container?
I would say so.
See if you can salvage that Sept Alzereen symbol on his jacket. At least we need to record it in case.
I'm sure if anything, Sept Alzereen will pay money to know that someone has found whatever they sent there.
Can I check 3 files of who was sent on the mission and if any were of importance?
This is actually as of public record now. In my mind, they have a system where after so long, it's like, yeah, this doesn't really matter anymore. We'll put it on public record. This probably took quite a few years. Despite the fact that Varr is in the solar system for about 15 years in its passing, there was only one ship sent here in the past, recorded anyway. And that itself comes off as odd. Secondary, looking at the credentials of the people on the passenger manifest, all military. There are some scientists, but all military background. Every one of them was better at firing a gun than looking through a microscope or flying through space or anything.
Actually, so I had a question. You said that everything here looks familiar to me, or is it just more?
In a sense, it more touches on your old Dominion life, the way of things, how it was back then.
Okay.
If anything.
Okay, by his gear.
100 years.
By his
Time isn't necessarily
Sorry?
making too much sense on this planet. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Actually, I was wondering, just idle curiosity. I look over the manifest of who was on that ship. Are there pictures with names or anything?
Yeah, I would say so. And you can go ahead and tell me if any of them stand out to you.
Well, I'm looking for me.
You are not on here. Though someone does share the last name as you. Same last name as you. I don't know necessarily that you have any Forge-born brothers or sisters. But this person bears a striking resemblance to you, but has a different name.
What name is it?
Your name being Piri. This is Apalu.
A guy or a girl?
This is it could be either way, but fairly masculine, if anything.
There's a picture you said?
Yes.
Let's see if any chance I could try to remember.
Go ahead and give me. I'm gonna say investigation.
7.
It's right there. You're probably frustrated, if anything. You know this. You know the connection. You know what you don't. You can't make the connection.
Can he ask for assistance?
Absolutely.
All right. So what am I rolling?
That depends. How exactly would you go about assisting, Piri?
Well, how long have we known each other? Is it just recent?
I would say as long as you'd like. Many years.
Oh, Edward, how long did you want to have known each other? Is it we're just recent? Like, how long have you been awoken?
I would say that we probably came to the ship together. So we might have known each other for, let's say, a year prior to.
So I would say that this is more based on your just Old Dominion knowledge,
Okay.
rather than personal contact with this person. So,
So we get double proficiency with Old Dominion knowledge.
Yep.
So what would I be rolling?
I would say investigation as well.
Investigation, but we get a double bonus, right? So
Correct.
So my investigation of this would be a total of a +6.
Go ahead and give me the roll.
17 plus 6, 23.
So, whether it's personal interaction or memories or the lack thereof, Perry, you cannot, for the life of you, put your name or put a name or where you know this person from. And maybe it's never come up, or maybe it was never said in the right light. But as Lenz puts his finger on the name, I believe your last name was Armistice.
Hey, that's a good question. Armitage, maybe?
Armitage, I believe.
Yeah, Armiger.
Armiger.
Armiger,
Okay.
yeah.
Armiger. That's what sticks out to Lenz. He taps, the manifest. That's where you're from. That's the Forge. They give the same last name to every Forge-born from the Forge that they're made. It's like a brand, a label. This is the closest you've ever found to your family you've ever seen in your life, as long as it's been.
So, maybe that's why I'm drawn here. I knew someone, one of my siblings, I guess, or That's not the right word. But one of my fellow Forgeborn, from where I was created, came here.
And with that, we are going to go on our 10-minute break.
Okay.
After this, we have one more scene, some combat, and wrapping her up for the evening. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me. This has been a lot of world building. That part of this, I guess, is a lot of fun for me. I don't know how that is for you, but Ray
it's very
Bradbury
interesting,
certainly gave a lot to inspire this. And I'm working off a 10-page chapter for the entirety of this. And we've already diverged so far. So this is a lot of fun for me.
I'm a little sorry, but I'm having fun. So I think
Yeah.
stuff like this is nice. Yeah, I don't want to deviate too much from the story. It's being a one-shot, but it's still fun.
It's called Martian Chronicles. But yeah, go ahead and fill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouse, whatever you got to do. We'll meet back here in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Roger.
Greetings to anybody tuning in later. I hope you're enjoying this rendition of the Harbinger playtest version 0.5. I'm having a lot of fun. We're about to get to some combat.
Okay, I'm back.
I like it so far.
Interesting.
Oh, I like it. I like the, I like the story element of it. It's got a lot of, like you said, like a very Ray Bradbury kind of feel to it. That kind of old school sci-fi feel.
That's
to
what
it, which is good.
That's what I was really trying to
Mhm.
hone in on this, just because I've read the Martian Chronicles, I've listened to it on audiobook, and it's one of those things I can listen to again and again, and it gets me every time.
It's an insane story. I mean, I just, the first time I read it even though it was just one character in it, was the Flight of Icarus, which is Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, just unbelievable story. I mean, if you could capture that, in an RPG, even though of course you're in the Flight of Icarus, so you know how that's end. But it's just amazing, and some other sci-fi stuff that's incredible is Joe Haldeman's Forever War is another. I mean, that would make a phenomenal setting for for a sci-fi RPG.
See, I got to touch down on a lot more of the the telepathic nature of the peoples that lived here with two people. Just because they flew through this first part way faster than you guys did. They didn't nearly as explore as much. But with the not necessarily vagueness, but the open-endedness of the spells in Harbinger, I was really able to capture kind of like the they don't talk like we do. They don't communicate. They don't store memory. Their culture would be totally different. And that's the fun part to me, is trying to characterize further things that were fairly, briefly from different perspectives characterized by people in the story.
Right.
So hopefully here in the next part, we might run into some of those people.
Yeah, I'd like to shoot something.
You guys spend a lot of time shooting guns for you to not shoot something, so hopefully I bring the thunder. And I think we're just waiting for Paul, so...
Yeah.
But...
In Paul's game, Paul's adventure, his was basically the first episode of Dark Matter, and so that was a really cool, I mean, especially since I already knew the show, and just the way it laid out. But I really liked the fact that it was it was a dark sci-fi. This one is a little bit more, like I said, old school. Like awe-inspiring kind of
absolutely
feel to it.
And I think, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's what's nice about Harbinger. You can play a political game. You can play, something on a moon and just stay local, like how Jeremy Lilly has his 80s neon.
Yes, his
detective one. Yeah.
I'm in this game. I can't even think of the name of it. His Inquisitor's Toll. I was actually going to say the same thing. It's versatile.
Yeah, and you could play something like Dark Matter, or what our crew is, I think, but just a lot more ship stuff. I'm in Jaren D&D. He has we have a campaign going, and it's taking a weird turn, but basically we're like mercenaries for hire, and we were hired by an organization to do something. We ended up getting caught by pirates and turned into sort of like prisoner slaves. We just escape there. But then you could do something like this, like explorers, or there's like so many possibilities. The way, because it's science fantasy, so you got a bit of both. You play dark eldritch horror, or you could play something more with the gaunt and undead, or with the Scrug, so you have like orc stuff. But that's just in the play test, what we've seen so far.
Right.
There's so much more that going to be coming out later on.
And I think they just added like ship battles and like movements for your vehicles and void ships, so you can do, interstellar combat. And like you said, Jeremy Lilly's Inquisitors game is a very local political-esque investigation game. You can do, like a Blade Runner like Jeremy. You can do dark matter. You can do like, what the hell is that? Babe, what's that show you watched? The sci-fi one?
The Expanse?
It was like
Black Mirror.
Black
Mirror.
Black Mirror also applies.
Okay.
It was one where they switch bodies. Antimatter.
Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon. You can do something like that. It's the cool thing about playtesting is they've only given us so much information, and the rest is fill in the cracks, make it up.
Yeah, my game, the one I'm with my setting, if played with Harbinger, it's a subsetting of Harbinger, but it's on a distant moon. And yeah, you could do something Altered Carbon where on that moon, the Forgeborn are sleeves.
Yeah, exactly.
Download their stuff, their memories into them, or you could just make a generic sleeve that same stats. You could, just sort of thing.
Very versatile.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, you have your own moon, or that's in the known orbits. You can have something further away. You can have spaceships, space station stuff like I guess was it the Drift Market or stuff. There's.
Plus, you can tie into any kind of sci-fi movie that you would ever enjoy, like Predators or Alien vs. Predator or Alien, or there's options, which is nice. So. We are all back, and I believe we are all ready. So if you're not in a need to ask any questions, we can go ahead and get started.
Quick question. In that time when we were scouting and just looking around, did that count as a short rest?
Mechanically, no. I would say I'm actually going to get to that. We're about to hop back in right into the ship. You guys didn't make your direct route to this beacon, the secondary beacon. I'm going to say you guys either had the opportunity to take a short rest or a long rest, depending on how you advance on the location of this beacon. So in that regard, in healing and whatnot, that'll be taken care of. The parameters of this healing will be determined by how quickly you move on this beacon.
How far did you say it was again?
It's really not that far. It's about a 2-hour travel via void ship. But your time exploring this civilization that you came across, I would say that it went from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to probably 8:30.
What do you guys think? Wait until the morning, like after we get a rest, or?
Yeah, I would recommend to take a rest. I mean, we did quite a bit. We traveled there. We went on. We've been there for several hours. Gotten injured. Made a lot of discoveries. I'm sure there's a lot of inputting into the ship's computer. The data that we've collected.
I'm pretty sure it'd be safer during the daytime. We don't know what kind of creatures are out here.
Yeah, since we know that there's the potential for hostility, that's something else that we might want to specifically prepare for.
So, given the explanations here, I would say this is a long rest. Then you're
okay.
entering.
Yeah, nobody went over their astrofade limit, so you can recover that amount, your limit back. But that just means as long as you don't go over, you're back up to zero, back down to zero astrofade. I only think, I don't know if anyone used it. Oh, Jose did, and myself. Oh, and yeah, Edward, you used the.
I used my spheroid once. Yeah.
So yeah, you would have the downtime to create a new one, and everyone else would be able to refresh their astrofade and/or health.
All right.
One thing I am going to do is, since we are going to be taking a long rest here, I arrange a container so that we can take back the body.
Of the Varren?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's within reason as well. I don't really foresee a kind of check that would go along with that. I feel like that's kind of not necessarily standard with your ship, but something your ship is capable of doing is holding cargo of some kind. So if everyone is back to full health, we can carry on. Wes, you are our pilot, and Piri, you are our navigator. Piri, I'm going to need a tech check. And
Actually, I'm gonna see if Lentz wants to do it. He might be better suited for this than I am.
Yeah. So tech. I'll make a tech check.
Or an astrogation, is it, or tech check?
either is fine.
All right. So let's see. My double proficiency in tech and arc tools already included. All right. So I guess that's already. I guess that's where I'm getting my +5.
Do you have expertise in it?
It might be +7 or +8.
Yeah,
Oh,
it should be higher than
yeah.
plus.
Yeah, you haven't changed it, so
Yeah. So it's plus. Yeah, arc tool is +7. I would assume the tech check should be +7 as well.
your basic proficiency is 3, and
Mhm.
your tech check would be intelligence based, which your mod 2 or 3.
It's +3, yeah. So it would be a
That's 6.
+6.
So 9 if it's one of your special double proficiency skills.
Yeah. All right. So it's a 9. I should have been doing that all along.
Why did they have you on the navigation, Piri?
Oh, no, I sat down because I wanted to get to the planet, and nobody else.
No one else said anything, which
Yeah, I'm not the co-pilot. I was just.
I was pretending to be co-pilot this time.
I got a +1.
I was trying my best, okay?
And I assume dexterity would be more of a base for actually physically piloting.
In my mind, yeah, I would say so.
I rolled a 24 total.
Like the pilot rather than the navigator.
Well, you got to avoid stuff. You got to get you there. Have you ever tried looking at a map while driving?
Oh, I know. I'm not trying to.
That's dangerous. But with a 24,
yeah, 24 total.
The beacon itself seems to have been originated from a civilization not far to the north. Like I said earlier, about 2 hours via void ship.
Yeah. As we're approaching, I want to scan this civilization, and I'm looking to see if it has similar structures or if it's a different civilization, possibly different peoples.
Okay. Before we get too far ahead, Wes, I don't really foresee any sort of thing that would apprehend you from being able to fly normally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that you succeed any sort of astrogation check to fly the ship from A to B. The weather's pretty clear. And in regards to your scan lens, I'm likewise not going to make you make a check simply because you know what you're looking for. And though to the naked eye, you also have difficulty finding the location as was previously, but there's something that's a dead giveaway here.
Okay.
You find it. you find the ship. The
Ah.
colors of Sept Alzereen rusting away on the side of the astrosteel carapace, the Sept Alzereen ship. And leading away from it is a trail of destruction. Old, countless years old. But you see where life was, and you'd imagine where life would have taken back in the numerous years that it's been gone. But there is a clear trail of burnt and destroyed organic matter moving in a certain direction that leads your eyes to the remains of the ruined civilization where this radar blip is coming from.
Okay.
So how you guys decide to approach is 100% up to you.
I am going to ask Ava to see if any power is emitting from the ship, even backup power for whatever security programs might have been left on.
You're speaking for the ship on the ground?
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a tech check.
22.
So you do your standard protocol here on your outdated but still functioning key panel. The ship itself,
I said, it looks like
the archaic looking key panel. It's retro. You scan this vessel and the schematics of any known orbit ship that you're used to would appear, and though easily recognizable by the age, this is an old like license plate, if you will. A ship that has been deemed derelict in space. No one's heard from it in many generations. And as far as you can tell, it's been systems inactive for just as long as about anyone else can remember.
Okay. So there is no backup power readings at all, nothing?
The ship is as dead gets.
Okay.
Parts are probably still good, but anything on board, AI-wise, done and gone.
Would we have any sort of power converters, anything like that, that would, if nothing else, just get the computer systems powered up?
I would say so. You have some sort of space jumper cables, for sure. It might take some doing, but I would say you guys are within your means to do so.
If you guys can make it space worthy, we can fly it out of here.
Unless thinking space worthy, at least finding out what happened.
Well, yeah, I meant after, because I'm certain they'd want to.
I don't know if I would trust any SEALs that long.
Well, that's what the breathers are for. Oh, I don't know if we have any suits, but
I'm sure there would be something.
I'm sure the ship would have.
But that's not my concern. My concern is getting us to safety in that ship. I'm more trying to evaluate what's going on with it in the first place.
True. We can always tow it later. But let's first figure out what happened.
So,
would you like to land in this? What's up?
Sorry. I guess we're going to land near it.
This is something that I will need an astrogation check for. The area surrounding
vehicle ground and vehicle space.
You're proficient, you said. So I would say that applies. You can add an extra 2 to whatever you roll on an astrogation.
And I'm going to go ahead and use guidance, the boost with it, or
For sure.
bolster. I probably land on a dime because that puts me at a 25.
It's almost as if the clearing itself was made for this ship. For Wes sets her down cleanly, and you are able to set down and position yourself right next to this ship.
Sorry, did you say no boosts for the spell?
Bolster.
No, sorry. The before the green, one.
You can cast a spell without astrofade, but any boosts you add to it are on you.
Okay, so spectral armor would be 0 for me. But I get a free boost. So I'm gonna give myself I'm gonna go all out, which is only gonna cost me 2 boost. So my eye has been glowing green, the third eye, and I become enveloped in armor of hard light that augments my existing armor, and my AC goes up by +3. My saving throws go up by +2, and I become resistant to piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning for 4 hours.
All right, so you're broken.
Too bad I can't wield a shield.
As if it was necessary. So you guys have sat down next to this ship that, for as far as you can tell, seems derelict in the water. Is there anything you'd like to do?
As soon as we sat down, I put the engines on standby. And I'm pretty much jumping as quickly as I can out of the seat. Because as the console obviously shows, I love retro tech.
Oh yeah. This is a hot spot for retro tech. The ship you are greeted by is a very, very old Sept Alzereen cruiser, capable of carrying upwards of 8 to 12 people. This is like your halfway between infantry, halfway between exploration ship. This is, if there was a way of saying best of both worlds without compromising either situation, this would kind of be it. But it's in some pretty rough shape. It would take some work to get even the door open.
Okay, I'll use the Omni tool to try to power up the door enough to get it to lower the ramp.
Go ahead and give me a tech check.
And I am bolstering. That will put me at a 14.
Though this door is just about as much rust as it is any other material, you are able to configure the settings enough to allow you to decompress the chamber within and slide the door out of the way. You practically like emergency exited the door, and it's like popped off just on hinges rather than like a manual or automatic control. The overwhelming scent of rust and must, mold, and stale air hits you like a wall. And I'm going to need everyone to make Constitution saves.
Okay. Ooh, Good roll. 22.
Well, my luck is not holding. I'm at a 7.
I got a 12.
So, Jeffrey and Wes. Whether you were, Wes, you were right there, but Jeffrey, you caught a wicked inhale off some shit that came out of this door. You guys are both poisoned. For the stale air is filled with what you're now smelling to be decomposing flesh. And though you have to assume it's been here for upwards of 2 centuries, it's just as fresh as if it was yesterday. Sitting in the sun, baking in the oven.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jeffrey would be like dry heaving just in the corner somewhere.
But as your senses regain yourself, you are eagerly met by the most retro tech you've ever seen.
After I pick myself up off the ground, I go ahead and at least make an attempt to sort of do the cloth over mouth thing and just give it a quick glance inside.
You see the remnants of what might have been a scuffle. There are 2 bodies on the ground. One of them in a tattered blue silk, the other in Alzereen colors. You see a knife embedded to the hilt in the chest of the skeleton of the Alzereen soldier.
Does the uniform, you said it was a blue uniform? Does it...
It does. This uniform is outside of the knife wound, completely intact. It doesn't appear to be missing its badge like the one you have.
Sorry, the other figure. You said so. There's 2 figures.
Correct. One appears to be Varren born, whereas the other appears to be Alzereen.
And what is the one Varnborn wearing?
Tattered tattered blue silks. Pristine at one point, but the ages have not been kind to the material. So
does it look familiar or anything in the style or material?
This not so much to you. You guys have definitely come to notice in your cataloging of the murals and stuff that these blue robes are very cultural. This is like the Roman toga, if you will. This is their standard means of dress. Every depiction of these people you've seen, they've been wearing these blue robes.
Just something seems to weigh in on Perry, and he's a little gets a little anxious, and he summons his Astra weapon, but the blade is longer, but the handle is a lot shorter, and it's a lot more personal weapon. It's, even though it's still a huge weapon, it's a little more personal, not without the reach. And he creates a war blade, like a 2-handed sword.
Is there anything else you guys would like to look for in here?
I'm going to examine the body in the blue robes. Is it human at all, or
Skeletally, it's very similar. Kind of how the separation between Moonborn and Voidborn has been apparent. The difference in skeletal structure, but still the same race. This was human at one point, or very close to. it's hard to tell in this state of decay. But the skeletal features seem very, very spot on with the humanoids you've seen in your medical line of work.
I'm going to take a detailed scan before anyone else gets on board of both bodies. We aren't going to touch them at this point.
Let me get a tech check. My favorite check of all.
Oh. You're going to have to handle only a 25.
So what was your exact scanning for again?
I am mainly just documenting their position, the wound, basically a super forensics check.
I was gonna say this is basically like a forensic camera kind of get up. So with a check like 25, I would say that not only did you scan the body, but you scanned the environment in which this body is placed in, the things around it. There is like a medical bay immediately next to this. And though the contents and applicators of such devices that would administer a rejuvenating effect or health potion or whatever, you see that it would appear as if the Varren figure was brought here for medical attention and attacked his doctor. You see that it would appear the Varren pulled the knife from the doctor's holster and buried it in his chest to the hilt. But not before this doctor was able to pop 3 rounds off and break 2 ribs and bed the 3rd bullet into the spine of this Varren. What you would imagine was a kill shot.
Okay. And at this, I kind of leave them where they are at the moment and proceed up to the main deck. Or even better off, where I know the computer core would be.
Okay. Is anybody else doing anything as he enters?
I mean, I'll move on towards the I want to get the ship's data, and get that stored so that we can take a look at it later on. So I'll head up towards the bridge, I guess.
I'm pretty sure I know Lenz can usually take care of himself, so I'm going to follow Wes and try to keep him safe.
So Wes, you find your way to the computer core. Is there anything in particular you're trying to find from this database?
What I'm mainly trying to find first is a way to interface a small power converter, just enough to power up the core itself, not the whole ship.
Okay. And by doing so, you'd be able to give life back to electrical systems, life support should it have been needed, as like a backup generator would, and some remedial other electrical nuances. I'm gonna need a tech check, but at disadvantage because this core is in rough shape.
Even though I don't have tech trained, any chance I can help?
Give me a D10.
10?
Yes.
Okay, well, you got advantage and disadvantage, so just a straight up roll now. Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and use bolster. And my tech check is a 22.
So you bang on it a bit, you scrape some rust out of some places, you get the fans lubricated, and in a stirring that shakes the whole ship, a small portion of the systems on board have regained life. Enough so much that Lens should probably be able to get a solid download of what the hell happened on the ship.
I have a quick question. I would be like outside the ship. Could I sense to see if there's any Astra nearby?
Absolutely. Go ahead and give me a flat Astra check. I think that's intelligence based.
I don't think I want to tell you what I rolled.
Oh, but I want you to tell me what you rolled.
A 1.
Okay, so you don't feel any Astra. This is a different feeling. This is somewhere in between nostalgia and a dream. There is an unmistakable cry for help from the city that you guys are on the outskirts of. But this cry for help, Jeffrey, did you hear it? Or are you just hearing shit?
Would anybody be like next to me or not?
I think everyone else is inside.
Gotcha. I think like the way Jeffrey is, he would probably start walking towards that.
All right. Well, let's hop over to Lens then and see what you can download from this computer. Give me an investigation.
Investigation. Oof, 4.
So you're having the same difficulty that Wes
Yeah.
is. This ship is old.
Yeah.
Some of your uplinks to your ARC tool, you're not finding them. This is basically like trying to plug an HDMI into an analog.
Right.
There's ports and stuff that you're not even familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But you are able to unscramble the last few lines of message coding, and you can decipher that this is in fact where the beacon is stemming from. This seems to be where the location of these messages is originating from.
All right, so I will. I'll try to figure out a way just to download everything. All right, instead of trying to decipher it now, just trying to get or trying to look like tech to pull out what I think is the
black box, if you will.
the black box of yes, exactly.
Okay, let me get a tech check, but I would say you know what you're looking for, so I'm gonna let you take it with advantage. Probably not that you need it because mechanists roll obnoxiously high end tech checks anyway.
Yeah, I got a +9 to the roll anyway, so I rolled a 29.
Oh yeah, so you know, you sit there, you fumble with the panels, you try and plug your shit in, it's not working. It kind of clicks to you like, you know, screw this. You know, you rip open a control panel to, you know, your right of where you're sitting. It's a mess of wiring, but you know from your experience with void ships that right behind this mass of bullshit is in fact the black box that records everything that goes down in this ship. And you are able to retrieve this without much difficulty. You slash through the wires and detach the black box efficiently, if anything. Though you don't have the tools to analyze it here on this ship, should we go over to our ship, you could totally do so.
Okay. That's all I'm looking to take out of this ship. I'll start heading, you know, towards, I don't know how big it is or how heavy it is or whatever. If it's something I could backpack, I'll backpack it.
I would say it's probably, you know, very probably like, this size, small
Okay.
little computer.
All right, so I'll just throw that in my backpack and then I'll
Yeah.
start heading out of the ship. Since the smell of the decay is probably bothering me anyway.
Anybody else tinkering, fucking with anything?
I am trying to find out if this ship would have been equipped with a spectre at that time, or if it's not capable of that.
It was probably primitive. If you'd like to dive further into that, I'm going to say that's a survival check.
That would be a 14.
So, though this isn't necessarily prudent to your survival, about as necessary as cleaning a disc before you insert it into a DVD player. You see what would appear to be like a drive for an AI system. Primitive as shit. But there's a spectre on it. And you probably can't upload them or do anything with them here, but your ship is much better equipped. And it seems as if Peary's looking for Lorium vials.
No, sorry, I was just... That's the storage device of the Harbinger
That is
world.
okay. Then yeah, you find a Lorium vial. Dusty and doesn't look very vibrant in Astra ways, but
I treat the primitive spectre as what it is. It is life.
and by doing so, I'm going to say that you're able to connect it to your arc tool. And what appears before you...
Before I do that, what I want to do is portion off Ava and use a different device to monitor.
Yeah, yep, for sure. And that's what I was kind of... Your arc tool, what I would imagine in that regard, be able to do that, kind of an artificial conduit for the Spectre. And you load him... I say him. It's the standard visage of an old school Sept Alzereen soldier. Their suits of armor have been upgraded 4 or 5 times since this model, or set, if you would. This face is very stoic, and where most specters you've seen seem to bolster a sense of personality, this is like Windows 98. We're going old school. He needs flash drive or floppy disks and internet startup DLC. He doesn't respond unless you have said something to him.
I let it start to boot up and see what it's going to do on its own until I get basically the ready window icon blinking at me.
Actually, I jump in before you say anything. As soon as the spectre comes up, where's Apollo? What happened to him?
And the stoic helmet slowly rotates its gaze away from Wes to you. Soldier Apollo, deceased.
How did he die?
Accessing. Files show hemorrhage to the brain.
What was the cause of the hemorrhage?
Files uncertain. Massive electrical storm in brain. resulting in internal bleeding and massive hemorrhaging. Simplest conclusion, telekinesis.
Are we still on the ship, on the Alzereen ship?
That's up to you. You guys could have been walking back.
Wes, did you head back, or are you still
left yet?
Okay. At this point, Perry just walks off and leaves you alone.
Okay. I'm kind of going to do the opposite of what we've already been doing. I'm going to see if Ava can uplink into the system here, since I have separated off the AI for this ship,
Okay.
and see if she can start to do internal diagnostics to determine what systems are repairable and not.
For sure. I think that might take a little bit of time.
As I said, I'm just getting her started. I'm basically pointing the dog in the direction.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. That's 100% within Ava's capabilities. Like I said, it'll take some time. So if you're pointing her in the right direction, by the time you're done exploring the destroyed city, she should be able to give you a logical conclusion.
Okay.
Now, our friend Jeffrey has seemed to have walked off over the hill towards the city here. Jeffrey, is there anything that you're doing in particularly? Have you raised awareness to everybody, or?
I think at this time he would probably try to get somewhere where he can get like, where he can see like the area, get like height advantage, and then he would let people know through the whisper link that he heard voices calling for help.
Jeffrey, you get to the top of the hill overlooking the city, and you are met with a confusing vision of what appears to be and what appeared to be. For the most part, you see a city dilapidated by some sort of conflict, ruins, stone littering the ground, massive shattered windows that at one point were murals testifying to the greatness of this society. But at the same time, you are berated with visions of pain and anger and sadness and confusion. And a faint whiff of smoke catches your nose. And though you don't see it now, you can picture this city on fire. You see it in your mind's eye.
Well then, I think I would probably get a little closer after letting them know.
And with the party not far behind you, you make your way towards the city. City being the kind term, ruins more aptly named. Is there anything you guys would like to do in your approach to this city?
I will. I'm going to be prepared out. Like, what time of day is it? Is it still,
Let's say it's early
like
afternoon.
mid-afternoon? Yeah, early afternoon. As we're approaching the city, I'm going to send my scout, my scout spheroid, ahead of us.
It's funny, the Forgeborn have a longer stride than the Voidborn. Another 35 feet versus 25 feet. And unless someone says something, particularly the Voidborn. Perry's walking at like almost like full speed, long strides, making his way to the city.
And Wes will look at him and happily let him lead the way into the charge.
All right.
Oh, are you talking, Baron? You're muted.
Solid. I was talking for a while. So as the four of you meander your way towards the city, you all begin to experience this feeling of dread and sorrow. And at some point or another, you too can almost smell the city on fire. You can picture it. You can feel it. It's hot. And though you know you've never been here, those feelings are ever present as they were the day that this happened 200 years ago. Perry, give me a perception check.
16 minus 1, 15.
You've been looking for the shadow again. It's been something that's been in the back of your mind since you've last seen it back in the Astra Museum. You're waiting for it. You're expecting it. And now that you are, you haven't seen it again since. It's not a shadow that catches your eye this time. It's a flash of blue. A flow that disappears behind the buildings of the city.
I follow it.
It takes a minute to narrow the gap between where you were and where it was. And as you get there, you're greeted by an empty alleyway. I'm gonna need everyone to actually no, I lied. I'm gonna roll this one. All right, Jeffrey. As everyone walks away, you are still kind of stumbling in awe at the feelings you're experiencing from this place. You've never felt anything so malicious in like a feeling. You've never been to a place that's radiated in emotion. And it stops you for a moment. And as you look to your side, as everyone walks away, you see three figures. One tall, one of medium height, and one of short height, all wearing flowing blue robes, all adorned with a shiny brass mask with a blank expression on its face, square slits for the eye holes, and no mouth. They stand together, and then you hear in your mind, "You should not have come. You all bring nothing but death and destruction wherever you go. You must leave, for it is the way of Varr." And that was to you, Jeffrey.
Well then, am I like close enough or what?
I would say you're probably about 30. You're Voidborn. You're
Yep.
25 feet away.
Good. I'm debating if I want to say something back or. Well, actually, I would just like. I imagine they're talking to me in my mind, right?
Yeah.
I would. I would. I guess in my mind say.
How do you reply to telekinesis for the first time?
Yeah. I would just be in my mind like, what do you mean?
Look around you. These buildings were not always this way. We lived here peacefully until your people came. Now we are dead. Dead as the deserts that encompass the eastern hemisphere of this planet. Dead as the weeds that blow through our civilizations. Dead as the glass that litters the ground here. You did this. You brought this.
He would probably say after that, if you're dead, how are we talking?
Varrens were far beyond the manages of humanity in terms of our intellect. We had excelled past forms of verbal communication into the means of telepathic. In a way that you write books on parchment, we imprint memories on locations. You are simply enacting a memory, one impressioned on this land for eternity. The sorrow we felt, the sadness, the revenge, or vengeance, that is what poured into these memories, and that is what you will see if you do not leave.
I think with that, he's gonna go grab Perry, and he's gonna put him in the same spot that he was, so that way he can, because he don't want to hear that war.
Perry, give me an astro check.
Let's see. 17 plus 4. 21.
Perry, you are placed in the same spot that Jeffrey was standing but a moment ago. You don't see anything.
What? What do you want? Why'd you pull me here?
He would explain it to him, try to, so he tried not to sound crazy. He would be like, they were talking to him.
To not sound crazy.
Yeah, they were talking to you. What? The dead bodies?
No, the aliens. They were telling me they're psychic and they imprinted memories, and he would explain everything.
Okay, and why don't they want to talk to me? I'm a people person.
Roll initiative. Going to pause just for one moment. I gotta hit the restroom real quick, and then we'll hop into combat.
All right.
And that was a bad roll. I rolled a 4 for initiative. Man, this is fun. I almost wish this went into more of a maybe a mini campaign. There's a lot we could do on there. We have 15 years. No.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be more than one shot for this.
Hey, what happens in 200 years from now? We're gonna send a signal off, and 200 years someone will find it and come and find us.
Everyone ready?
All ready.
Disconnect and reconnect. You good?
Good.
Alrighty. So as you're speaking with Jeffrey, you hear the sound of light machine gun fire heading in your direction. Your AC is 20 now, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So Jeffrey and Perry. Perry, you are grazed as the shot came from your flank, and you were not ready for it. For 4 points of damage.
Not 2. Damage reduction. Well, what kind? Well, was it?
Actually,
What kind of damage type?
it's like a mix between radiant and necrotic. It's memory damage.
Oh, then I'll take the full 4.
Yeah, this isn't like you're being struck by bullets, as you would imagine when you hear the shots fire off. These are like very strong bursts of air kind of hitting you or grazing you. And Jeffrey, you take 5 points as you also feel the same feeling. And you can see like any loose clothing that you have on kind of like ripples off as if hit by something. The smell of smoke fills your nostrils. Shit, I need to write down initiative. We got a 19, 16, and did I get one? Edward, did you? Did you have one?
Edward, what was your your initiative?
I didn't roll initiative. All right, so I gotta roll that. Initiative in 5e. It's still a d6, right?
No, d20 plus your dexterity.
D20 plus dexterity. All right. 13 plus dexterity of 2, so 15.
Okay, perfect. So, as these phantom bullets pepper you, Wes, you are able to see what appears to be Alzereen soldiers firing at you. You are top of the order.
With that, I'm going to head up to closer to...
And just for clarification, these guys appear to be coming from where you guys just came from. The crest of the hill that you had descended into the town.
Okay.
So like the ship, basically. Is what...
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and use my art tool ability. But I am spacing the character name. But Paul, I want to give you 2 AC.
Dear God. Stop giving him AC. I want to hit him.
And then I'm going to ready my own shield. I've got my own shield readied.
Oh wait, so you're actually giving it to me, or like it has? So you're activating the spheroid.
For the next minute, you're going to have a shield projected from my arc tool. At least I think that's how it works.
Oh, from the arc tool, that's for you only. I think I could be wrong.
I think that's for the person who's wielding the arc tool only, if I remember correctly.
Hard light shield bonus action creature. Yeah, it's for you basically, I guess. So yeah, it's not for me.
He doesn't need it. Wait on him. He's got enough.
I have Twitch shield. Don't worry.
And I just am mainly just readying an action to see what happens. To shoot if I need to.
These figures, they seem to be coalescing in and out of corporealness. And they prepare a second volley against you. You can see that there are 6 of them. All in military fatigues, carrying automatic weapons. Three of them take aim and fire. One at Wes, one at Jeffrey, and one at Peary, simply because you have all acted. The one at Wes does not hit. You see tufts of smoke and dirt buffet the ground around you, but you see no evidence of bullets. The one attacking Peary Definitely misses as well. Same situation. Maybe even you feel the force hitting your armor, but not able to make any sort of purchase. And finally, the ones aimed at Jose. That one hits. These they're imaginary. These incorporeal bullets tear through you. You feel them rip right through your body and embed themselves in the ground behind you. You take 8 damage.
Can I use my reaction to shoot back?
Absolutely.
That is going to be an 18 to hit.
18 will hit.
And it'll be for 6 damage.
And you are firing a firearm, correct?
A pistol, yes.
As your bullet passes through this apparition, if anything, you see a chunk of like the wisps of smoke being pulled away from him as you fire. But their pursuit continues. And that brings us to Jeffrey.
Well, after seeing those guys shooting at me and weird that it's going through me and stuff, Jeffrey's gonna pretty much start swirling his hands, and I'm gonna cast static feel on them. 1 second, I'm gonna figure out the boost in a second.
Like the third boost, it blocks line of sight, so they won't be able to shoot us.
Well, yeah.
And
It
stunning
doesn't
them.
say how many I can hit. I guess it's just like an area.
It's 10 foot,
Okay.
10-foot radius. Yeah, yeah. You can't make that bigger.
But yeah, I wanna get as close as I can to cast it on them, and I'm gonna use all 3 boosts on them. Actually,
Oh yeah. Do it.
yeah.
How many can he get in that? In 10 foot?
I would say he's going to be able to get 4.
So let's see, 5d8 lightning damage. Ooh. Alright, the damage is 17. And my spell, wait, is that a spell they see? Oh no, they gotta make a dexterity saving throw. And also, if they fail that, they become stunned for 1 round.
What's the DC save?
15.
Okay, so one of them manages to avoid, but the rest seem distorted, as if stuck on a paused screen.
Nice. And then after that, I'm gonna use my bonus action to heal myself.
Okay.
So they take half damage, and the ones that fail become stunned. You did all of them?
Yeah.
He didn't hit 2 of them, so.
So they take half damage.
Correct.
And the other one takes full damage and is stunned.
Yep. Well, as of right now, there are 2 undamaged, 1 that's seen some shit but is not stunned, and then 3 that have taken full damage and are stunned from that last attack.
And then, they can't. The ones who are in the range of it, whether or not they got hurt, they can't see us. Heavily obscured, which is nice. Yeah, blocking line of sight.
that'll be needed. And I believe that brings us to blends.
All right, I am going to. All right, so as the first shots, are fired, I'll get down into a semi-prone position and bring my rifle up, which I already had in my hands, and I will I'll select a target, and I will fire upon, I guess, the closest threat.
Okay.
All right.
That's going to be the one that wasn't hindered by the
Okay.
last attack, but was damaged
Okay.
slightly.
All right. So with my carbine, I have a +2 to attack bonus. All right. So that's going to miss. That's a 6.
So, in my mind, maybe the static field being projected by Jeffrey has interceded in between your line of sight and your target, kind of coming up with why you weren't able to get a clear shot off on this guy.
Okay.
And that finally brings us to Purity.
How far away are they?
I would say they're about 60 feet.
Okay, I'm 5 feet short. Okay. I'm gonna. So here's what happens. And I am at my astrofade limit.
Perfect.
Oh no, I'm 1 over. But that's resolved after. So 1 second. So Perry starts charging, starts running forward towards the nearest one, and he starts running, taking these long strides, and suddenly, in a streaks of yellow astra, and it's almost like he's still moving the same speed physically, but it seems to traverse like 20 feet, and almost like, I guess the best way is like the Flash, basically. Just ends up 20 feet closer. No, 40 feet closer. He ends up right there, right in front of the closest one. And as he comes running up, he takes a big swing at him.
What did you get?
I think that's a 20. And yes, nope, 21.
Are you attacking the one that had been shot at in the beginning by Wes, or one of the 3 that had taken damage from the static cloud, or 2 of the remaining?
The closest one, so he was partially damaged, I think you said.
Yep.
And he takes a big swing, and not a lot of damage. 10.
10 is enough. So go ahead and describe to me what it's like to kill a ghost.
As he swings his weapon, and it slices right through, cleaving the body in two from shoulder down to waist, but it just dissipates in a puff of smoke, I guess, or misty energy, astral energy.
And whereas you are used to the spectrum of color involved in the astral field, whereas most people, at least in a Mancer sense, give off a blue astra as they die, this thing gives off a purple astra.
And after he swings right through, and he's a little shocked at the purple Astra. He's never seen that before. The backlash, as he comes to a complete stop, he gets knocked prone on his ass. I rolled a 5 on the Astra fate chart.
That'll do it. All right, with Puri getting thrown on his ass, that brings us to the top of the order with Wes.
I'm going to take a quick shot on the one that is approaching still.
Well, actually, you have 3 that are stunned and then 2 that are approaching. So,
Okay. That's a crit.
well, I do crits as full damage dice plus an additional roll. So take whatever your max damage would be, including modifiers, and then roll again.
The 15. And then I'm going to slip behind a tree or whatever to get at least a little bit of cover.
So in your well-aimed shot, you managed to disperse the manifestation of this memory. Is there any details you'd like to give about that, or are you just ducking
The
behind
bullet
cover?
just goes towards the third eye and just seems to go right through.
And there's almost like the cinematic effect where this third eye is closing as the bullet enters, and it swirls into itself as the bullet passes through. Now that brings us to the apparitions. 3 of which are, or 2 of which are stunned in the static cloud that Jeffrey is projecting. But the 2 that are remaining will fire at Jeffrey for a 17 and a 16. I believe both of those are hits.
Yeah, they're both hit.
Jeffrey. This is not looking good for you, my man.
Actually, I am going to do something,
Okay.
and I guess that'll also put me more over. I'm going to. How far away? Oh, you said he's.
I think you said you moved 45 feet, so he's about 45 feet away from you.
Do I have the range? 1 second, I have to check to see if I didn't write down the range.
No worries.
I wasn't going to cast it on someone else, but
The time calls for it.
no, 10 feet. Never mind.
Okay, Jose, you are taking 7 damage, followed by 8 damage. And since I would assume that didn't drop you, I am going to say that actually, I don't know for sure. How do you get out of stunned? Is that just a roll for dexterity?
It might just be 1 round, but they are still in the
Yeah. I'm just making sure I don't have to roll for it, so I'm not behind on anything. If there's just stunned for 1 round, then they are still trying to coalesce themselves back together. And finally, Piri, this catches your eye. You're still standing in a similar location that Jeffrey had placed you in when he seen the 3 figures in the robes and the brass masks. And having fired your shot and looking away from a moment to maybe satisfy instinct, you see these 3 apparitions again. 1 short, 1 medium, 1 tall. And you're a pretty tall guy, I would imagine. I think Forged Warren can be up to like 7 feet tall or some shit like that. there's someone behind the middle mask, the medium mask. You know it. You need to see who's behind that mask.
So the Sept Alzereen, they have the masks.
No, these are what appear to be like Varrens themselves, robed in deep cerulean robes, and their faces are adorned with shiny, characteristicless brass masks.
And where are they in relation to the soldiers?
The soldiers are in front of you up on the crest of the hill. Like I said, about 60 feet away. These guys would be to your right, so to the east, probably about 15 feet away.
And who did I attacked one of the soldiers?
Correct.
Okay.
And as you glance over to see these figures, the middle one raises a hand. Oh, wrong guy. Uh, 21. Does 21 hit you, or do you have the Twitch shield up?
What's attacking me?
These ghostly specters are hitting you with a spell.
Oh, the spell. Sure, I'm gonna use it, and I get effectively free boost. So instead of for just this attack, it's until the start of my next turn. 4 AC.
Okay, so yeah, you managed to produce enough Astra to protect yourself from whatever it is these beings are doing to you. And all you hear is whispers. But one very audible and clear word that you can hear is Apollo. And that brings us to Jeffrey.
Let's see. Well, one, I want to try to run behind a tree or something so I don't get shot again. But I had a question.
Go for it.
Can they hit me since I had boosted it so they
I didn't attack you with any of them that were stunned or were in the cloud. I only attacked you with the 2 that were unaffected.
Oh, I got you.
So yeah, none of the ones that were stunned had done anything.
If they're still in the cloud, they take more damage at the start of their turn, or is it your turn?
If it's on your turn, they all take damage right now.
Oh, okay. I didn't even...
First time on a turn, or yeah. So
go
on,
ahead
on their turn, yeah.
Give me, I think it was 5d8.
That was when I boosted it. I don't think I do that now.
Does that apply?
It stays boosted for the 1 minute as long as you're concentrating.
Yeah. Okay, so 5d8.
Oh, so you would have had to do a concentration check when you got hit.
Well, I can do it right now. What do I roll?
Go ahead and give me a Constitution, which I believe is just a flat intelligence.
It's concentration is Constitution, I believe. How much damage was it?
One was 7, the other one was 8.
Okay, so 2 of them DC 10. If it's half damage or DC 10, as far as I can remember.
Alright. With the I got saving throw advantages on, well, not advantage, but I got a boost on con. But the total was 22.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say that managed to successfully concentrate through both of them.
And the damage with the 5d8 is 22.
So the disruptive field of your static wind has killed the last 2 remaining inside the cloud. So all that is in front of you is these 2 spectral figures running down the hill.
Gotcha. Well, since the other 2 are dead, I can drop the field, right?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, I wanted to hide behind a tree and use my limit enhancer.
Okay.
And then I can still attack, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, limit enhance. I can't remember if the limit enhancer is an action.
Action.
Is it it's a bonus? Oh, lucky you.
Okay, well, as my attack, I'll use an Astro Bolt to hit one of those soldiers running at me.
Go ahead and give me an attack.
15.
15 will hit.
Six total.
So yeah, you're able to get a shot off on the remaining soldiers. That brings us to Lens.
Okay. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to take a shot at the same target I was shooting at before.
I believe he died.
All right. So
There's 2 targets left, both of
All
which are, well, one has now been injured, but the other is still unaffected.
all right. God. That's only a. You just add dexterity bonus, right?
Using a ranged weapon, I believe you use proficiency
Yeah.
and dexterity.
Oh, so what's proficiency? Let's see. I didn't do that before. So let's see. Proficiency, ranged. Where's my ranged? It's
Proficiency
weird. I
plus,
don't see it.
proficiency plus dex. So whatever your dex is plus 3 on top of your attack roll.
All right. So dex plus 3. All right. So that's still only a 9. Still missed.
Yeah, you see likewise as earlier puffs of dirt and clouds of sediment being raised into the air by
that's even with an astroscope.
what is the
Let's
astroscope?
see. The astroscope was that weapons modifier that we were.
Yeah, as a bonus action, you can gain advantage on your attack rolls.
Right.
Would you like to do that?
Oh, well, yeah.
Then
Yeah,
go
that
ahead
might
and
be-
roll another d20 and add the modifier and take the higher of the 2. So as long as you get higher than a 9,
All right, that's a 15.
that'll do it.
All right. Plus the modifier would be
More than enough.
6. Yeah, so total 21.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me some damage.
All right. It's only D10. Uh, 2 points.
2 points is better than no
And
points.
No points, right.
All right. That leads us to
It's my turn.
yes, it is. Brighten parted on your character's name for 2 seconds.
So what happened is I rolled a Master Fate again after I cast Twitch, and I got knocked prone again. But I was still prone, so it didn't matter. Surprisingly, Perry is very. When he's in combat, he's surprisingly focused on, and he's usually focused on combat. But this time he turns, he gets up, starts walking over to the side. How far did you say those those cloaked figures or masked figures?
They are about 15 feet away.
35, half movement to get up.
I would
Sure.
say that the closest one is probably within your range.
So he gets up, walks over to them, and for some reason, he lets go of his weapon, and it dissipates. And he walks up to them, and he's not bad at it. He's not good at it. He's going to try to grab the mask, essentially.
So we're looking at like a sleight of hands kind of thing, or is this like an obvious grab it off her face?
Yeah, I'm going to grab it off of the face of the one that seems to be grabbing my attention.
The middle one. Go ahead and give me an athletics check then.
All right, straight up roll.
Yep.
6.
You can't grab it, but the process of you going through the action to grab it causes this person to turn away, revealing the profile of their face behind the hood and mask they're wearing. You recognize this person as Apollo.
Apollo, is that you?
They respond with nothing.
And that's all I do.
All right, that brings us to the top of the order with Wes. We are currently sitting with 2 apparitions coming down the hill. One has been damaged, one has not. And there are some cloaked figures that are interacting with Fury.
How far is the tree that Jeff is trying to hide behind?
I'm about 20 feet away from you. 15 feet.
Okay, I'm going to slide back and take cover myself, but I'm going to use a healing spheroid and give him back 10 points of health.
And that was to
Jeff.
Okay. Do you have any bonus actions or anything else you'd like to do?
Nothing handy.
All right, and that leaves us to the 2 figures running down the hill and cloaked apparitions. So the 2 cloaked figures running down the hill are coming after. One is going to shoot at, I believe, Edward, who just killed one. I don't think anyone's killed one. Jeffrey, you're going to get shot at again because you did the static cloud, and Pyrrha, you're getting shot at because you are prone, which I believe gives me no, you got up, didn't you? Okay, so I don't think a 17 will hit you, Pyrrha. But a 19 will hit Jeffrey, that's for sure. Jeffrey, you are looking at another 6 points of psychic damage. And though you grabbed at them, Fury, they don't seem to be fleeing from you. They turn almost as if resetting their place. You waste your time fighting but memories. You could be beyond this, beyond time, one with the way of things, one with nature, one with science, one with religion. Yet you squabble here, looking for what you've already found. Come, you could join us. And we'll kick it over to Jeffrey's turn.
Let's see. So you said there's still 2 of those ghost things, right?
Correct.
Alright, let's see. I guess I'll use my free boost on the Astro Ball. To make it so it does 2d8 force damage. And then I'll do another boost so that way I can hit up to 3 targets.
Right on.
Alright, so I know one of them misses because it was an 8. The other one's a 17 and a 15.
Both hit.
Alright, the first one is a 10, the other one does 12 damage.
Alright, so you kill one of them.
And let's see. But I'll heal myself as my bonus action.
Okay.
And then I'll boost that one also, so that way I get extra healing. Let me see. 2d6. Yeah. $12. Oh. And I gotta roll on the table because I'm definitely pushing it.
All right, go ahead and give me your effect, and we'll discuss how the last spectre dies.
It says, Astra grants you energy from within, making you more accurate. The next damage roll you make is 1 die increment higher.
Oh yeah. So like I said, that last move was able to take out the last corporeal entity. As he dissipates, you are all brought to, this drops you from initiative order. It is all brought to all of your attention, these three figures. The flashbacks and memories of the destruction have stopped. Everything's quiet here again. There are no animals, there are no crickets, there's nothing. It's quiet. But these three figures stand before you. Whether they are dead or alive, I think it's hard to tell. The lines have blurred with these individuals. The bullets that were shooting at you were simply passing through them as well, but to no effect. They beckon you to follow, to which you are led up a winding, it's not a super long walk, probably about a 10-minute walk into the foothills beyond the town and down into a crater. And in this crater, there's a large door built of an unknown material. Honestly, our Forgeborns would probably recognize this as what forges are made out of. And you see upon closer inspection that the lock itself was not carefully opened. It was damaged, it was beaten, it was pried until it finally gave loose to what it was containing. Orichalcum, yeah, orichalcum. Beyond this door, you see a body. The restlessness inside you, Piri, has grown considerably, for you know this person. This person looks like you. As far as you know, this person is you. All the same coding and genetic constructs were built into people from the same forge in the same way that a factory mass giving off an intense radius or radial aura. And at the base of these fungus mushrooms, you find the remains of Sept Alzereen. And that is where we're going to cut it. Hopefully, I left you with enough suspense there to make you want more, because there is more. We just didn't get to it today, which is within reason. I felt like you guys dug around quite a bit and pushed some envelopes that I hadn't thought of before. Any questions, concerns, qualms, things you'd like me to know about going forward? Feel free to say those now.
Question. Is there a part 2?
There most definitely is a part 2.
For us.
That I cannot guarantee.
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to run another game to finish out what I have left of this. I managed to get through a lot more of it a lot faster with the other party, simply because they bypassed a lot of the lore building. But to be honest, that was where I really wanted to kind of head with you guys, and I feel like you guys did a fantastic job of aiding me in building this world. But yeah, you definitely skirted out on the easy side of what's fucking going on here. So yeah, if you guys would like to play again, I would be more than happy to do that. Anything else?
It'll be nice to finish it up. But yeah, no, really enjoyed it. You know, like I said earlier, very good story. You know, just the atmosphere of the storytelling was, you know, was something that you know, was a pleasant departure from the last time that we played. You know, that I played Harbinger. You know, just a different type of science fiction. You know, it was nice to, you know, experience both now, because you can see the versatility that Harbinger is going to bring to the genre.
Absolutely, I agree 100%, and I'm really glad you enjoyed that, because I got to say that science fiction and kind of space fantasy, they are definitely not my strong suit. I know a lot of people in the groups that I play with are really huge into Star Wars, but my trilogy was always Lord of the Rings, so I've always felt more comfortable in fantasy. So once I found Ray Bradbury, it was like, I'm gonna see what I can explore and do with this. So if you guys enjoyed the tone, that's something I can definitely focus on to bring more to the table in the future.
Yeah, I like the whole psychic and the thing with the the ghosts and everything. Like I wasn't expecting none of that. It was pretty good.
And for the most part, I mean, without, you know, copyright infringement, I ripped that very much from the book. They're very about, you know, storing memories and yada yada. So trying to turn that into like a eldritch horror version of Harbinger is super easy.
The interesting thing is that is the main research that Wes was working on.
Oh yeah, and that fits perfectly. So I hope that utilizing that, I can bring your story full circle as well as kind of everyone else's. If yeah, like you guys said, if you are willing to do a part 2, I have some questions I can ask you to kind of narrow my focus on what will happen ultimately with your crew. But for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and throw it to outros, and I'm going to start in reverse order. And I think my last one was Edward.
Okay, so once again, thank you very much for the experience. Really enjoyed it. My name is DM Bluddworth, and I run my own YouTube channel, Unscripted and Unchained, and on Facebook, a gaming community, which is On Screen Gaming, and you know, really a welcome addition to. Oh, I just drew a blank. You know, welcome addition to Absolute Tabletop. You know, you guys have been great. You know, I've already, you know, played in some 2 or 3 sessions in the last 2 weeks. So, you know, having joined that Facebook group has, you know, really opened up a lot of doors for gaming. So I recommend, you know, that Facebook group to everybody out there as well.
And I 100% agree with you. I probably would not have gotten to online tabletop RPGs without that group. They're extremely supportive, and they definitely nurture the creative bone, in me at least. So I would highly recommend them. Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul. I have a channel. It's called Infinite Realms, but there are a few one-shots on there and a mini campaign, which we're going to be finishing soon. Well, at least another session, maybe 2, in July. Going through a bit of a rebranding, so the name might change, but right now it is Infinite Realms, and Harbinger is right now my my main D&D setting. I don't know if I'll switch to Genesis, but for D&D, my main one is Harbinger. I love the versatility of it. Just going by what they provide is enough, but there's so much room for expansion on top of that as well, and you can customize the setting however you want, and I love it.
Well, with that being said, Paul, I'll be more than certain to post interest should I see you put up a game. Definitely a pleasure to have you. Your Harbinger knowledge definitely aided me tonight, and I appreciate that.
And actually, just one more thing. As soon as this campaign I'm running is over, I am considering either I'm going to be running, it's called Horizon Operative. It's my setting. Depending on the players, if I'm running a full campaign, it might be in a Harbinger subsetting, or it might be in Genesis. And if not, it might just be a series of one-shots interconnected, so different groups can come in and out. I haven't decided on that yet. I'm going to wait until I finish the current campaign.
best to do that, otherwise you'll get distracted, because I definitely know the struggle there. But like I said, I'll definitely be on the lookout, because this is my first time playing with you, and I know I certainly had a good time, so seeing you from the other side of the table will be most excellent. Jose.
Yeah, I had a great time. My name's Jose. I got the YouTube channel D20Say, and I was playing Jeffrey, the little crazy mancer. But I definitely had fun. I definitely liked what you did with it, and I enjoy playing Harbinger, so I definitely can't wait until the next time.
Absolutely, Jose. You know, I am always eager to have you at my table. I truly thank you for expressing interest in wanting to play in the first place. And finally, last but not least, John.
I'm John. I've been playing Wes. It's been a really interesting game, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, and I have questions for all of you that I will get to at a later date, and I will start working forward on setting up a second date, and hopefully we can get some of the other players that we couldn't sneak in here to round us out for the next one. I'm Varren. I'm over at RWD Gaming. That's where you are now. We have some other live plays. If you feel the need, check those out. For all my wonderful players that have YouTube channels, I will have their links posted in the description. But other than that, we are out of here. So you guys have